The deadly standoff. The human stood in the middle of the great alien throne room, his chest rising and falling as dozens of alien guards aimed their weapons at him. The air was heavy, almost burning with tension. One single wrong move could mean the end of his life. The stone walls glowed faintly with strange alien lights, and the floor under his boots felt colder than ice. He knew he was surrounded, outnumbered, and completely at the mercy of the queen who sat before him. The alien queen was tall and fierce, her crown made of shining crystals that pulsed with a dim red glow, her eyes bright like molten gold. Locked onto the human, her voice was sharp. Carrying across the throne room, "Human," she said, her words heavy with hatred. "You dare enter my halls alive. You stand where your kind has brought only war and ruin, and now you will pay the price." The guards pressed closer, their weapons clicking as if ready to fire. The human did not flinch. He could see their sharp armor, their long claws resting. On the triggers, he could hear their alien breathing low, animal-like growls as they prepared to strike. Inside, his heart pounded like thunder. But on the outside, he stayed calm. If he showed fear, he would die. If he showed arrogance, he would die. So he stood straight, his face unreadable. Though sweat slipped down his neck, the queen lifted her hand slowly, a signal for the guards to fire at her command. In that moment, time felt frozen. The human remembered how he had reached here. The endless battles, the broken cities, the cries of the innocent. He had not come to fight today. He had come with something else, but he wondered if he would even live long enough to explain it. The silence in the throne room grew heavy. The guards' claws tightened on their weapons. The queen's golden eyes narrowed. Everyone waited for her next word. Finally, her voice cut through the air like a blade. "Kill him." The word echoed across the walls, and the guards stepped forward, their weapons rising. Glowing with deadly energy, the human closed his fists, ready for the end. There was no escape, no path left, but just as the guards took aim, something happened. The queen's gaze shifted past him. Her eyes widened, and for the first time, her proud and cold face broke. Her lips parted in shock, and her hand trembled in the air. "Impossible," she whispered almost to herself. The human frowned, his instincts screaming that something was different. Slowly, he turned his head. Behind him, at the wide stone entrance of the throne room, stood two small figures. They were alien children, their skin pale and glowing faintly under the strange lights. Their eyes, wide with both fear and hope, stared directly at the queen. The guards hesitated, confused by the queen's reaction. Their weapons still pointed at the human, but their focus wavered. Whispers filled the air, nervous and uncertain. "Is it them?" One guard muttered, his voice shaking. "It cannot be." "They were lost," another said, almost in disbelief. The human's breath caught in his chest. He knew these children. He had found them weeks ago. Frightened and alone in the ruins of a destroyed village, he had carried them, fed them, and protected them when beasts tried to tear them apart. He had not known who they truly were, only that they were innocent. And now, here they stood, looking at the alien queen with trembling hands raised like children, reaching for their mother. The queen rose from her throne. Her golden eyes glistened with something the human never thought he would see. Ter's daughters. She breathed, her voice breaking. Her steps were slow, unsteady, as if she couldn't believe what she was seeing. The throne room that had been filled with death and tension was now drowning in shock. The human stood frozen. The guards looked lost, and the queen herself seemed torn between rage and sorrow. No one knew what would happen next. The guards looked at each other, waiting for orders. But the queen's face was locked on the two children, her daughters. The princess's thought, lost forever, were alive. And standing right behind the enemy she had sworn to kill, the human felt the weight of the moment. He could almost hear fate itself holding its breath. He had come here ready to face death. But now, everything had changed. The Queen's hatred was melting into shock. The guard's certainty was breaking into confusion. And the two frightened children were about to decide the future of them all. The Queen lowered her hand, her voice shaking as she whispered again, "Daughters, how are you alive?" And the human knew this deadly standoff was only the beginning of something far greater than war. The lost daughters, the throne room was silent. The Queen, who had ordered the human's death only moments ago, now stood frozen. Her eyes were locked on the two small figures behind him. Her lips trembled as she whispered again, "My daughters." The guards shifted uneasily, their weapons still raised at the human. But none dared to fire. They knew their Queen's children had been lost during the last Great War. Everyone believed they were dead, taken by the chaos and flames to sea. Them now live and standing in the same room as a human felt like a dream, or perhaps a nightmare. The children stepped forward, slowly, timidly. Their clothes were torn, their faces marked with dirt, but their eyes still held the glow of royal blood. One of them clutched the other's hand tightly, refusing to let go when they saw the Queen. They both cried out, "Mother!" The Queen gasped, her proud shoulders trembling. For years, she had carried the weight of their loss. She had sworn vengeance on all humans, blaming them for everything. Yet here her daughters were alive, and standing behind one, the human turned slightly, watching as the girls ran forward, their little steps echoing in the massive hall. He remembered the first time he saw them hidden beneath broken stone, their small bodies shaking from fear. They had looked at him with the same wide eyes, unsure if he was another monster or a savior. He had not spoken their language at first, but kindness needed no words. He had carried them, fed them, and guarded them when night creatures circled close. He had promised himself he would bring them somewhere safe. Now, he realized, he had brought them home. The guards exchanged nervous glances. Their loyalty to the Queen was strong, but confusion crept in. Was the human their enemy or the savior of their princesses? One guard finally broke the silence, his voice trembling. "Your Majesty, this human, how did he have them?" Another hissed, "It must be a trick. Number? Human would protect our kind." The Queen's eyes flickered with doubt, her mind warring with her heart. She looked at the human, her voice low but sharp. "Explain, human. How are they alive? How did they come to stand behind you?" The human's throat felt dry, but he did not step back. His voice was steady, though softer than usual. "I found them," he said simply, "lost in the ruins. They were weak, hungry, alone. I could not leave them." The Queen's eyes narrowed, searching his face for lies, but her daughters clung to his legs. Tugging at his arm, "He saved us," the smaller one said in her own tongue, her voice like a broken song. "He fought the beasts. He gave us food. He carried us when we were too tired to walk." Her words echoed through the throne room. Even the guards lowered their weapons slightly, though their suspicion remained. The Queen's heart ached. Her daughters were alive because of a human. Her enemy had done what her own people could not. But how could she allow herself to believe it? The older daughter, her voice stronger, stepped forward and looked straight at her mother. "Do not hurt him," she pleaded. "He is the reason we are here. Without him, we would have died." The human stood still, letting the children speak. For him, he knew his words would never carry the same power as their voices. They were proof of his actions, proof no blade or lie could erase. The Queen's hands shook as she slowly reached toward her daughters. When her fingers touched their faces, warm and real, tears rolled down her cheeks. For years, she had buried her pain under rage. But now, the truth cut deeper than any wound. Her daughters had returned, but their protector was the very enemy she had sworn to kill. Her mind spun with questions. Was this fate? Was it a cruel trick by the universe? Or was it proof that everything she believed about humans was wrong? The guards whispered among themselves, their discipline cracking. Some bowed their heads in confusion, others muttered angrily. But no one dared act until the queen gave her command. The queen looked at the human again, her golden eyes wet with conflict. "You saved them," she said, her voice trembling. Her claws flexed at her side, caught between gratitude and hate. Why? Why would you, a human, save my blood when so many of yours have killed ours? The human's gaze did not waver, because they are children, he answered simply. They were innocent. They needed someone. It didn't matter if they were human or alien. The throne room grew even quieter. The queen felt her chest tighten. At his words, they were simple, but they struck deep. Her daughters looked up at her with tears in their eyes, begging her to understand. At that moment, the queen knew her empire was balanced on a blade. Her decision would shape everything: war, peace, trust, or betrayal. And standing at the center of it all was a human who had chosen mercy over hate. The throne room, once filled with orders of death, was now drowning in silence and uncertainty, and everyone waited for the queen's answer. The human's choice, the alien throne room, still felt like a battlefield of silence. The guards stood frozen, their weapons lowered only slightly. The queen sat rigid on her throne. Her daughters pressed against her side, and the human stood alone, surrounded on all sides, yet not moving an inch. His heart pounded hard inside his chest. He had walked into this place ready to die. But fate had taken another path. Now the queen's golden eyes were on him, not filled with pure rage as before, but with something harder to name: suspicion, pain, and confusion mixed together. She wanted to hate him, yet her daughters clung to him like he was part of them. The queen finally spoke, her voice low but sharp. "You saved them? Yes. But do not think that makes you innocent, human. You have entered my world as an enemy. Why should I let you live?" The guards growled in agreement, their claws tapping against their weapons. Some of them wanted blood, others waited for her final command. The daughters held tighter to the queen's arms, whispering in their alien tongue. "Mother," a tone hurt him, "please." The human took a slow breath. He knew his words mattered more now than ever before. One wrong sentence could destroy the fragile moment of peace. But he could not lie. He spoke with the same calm honesty that had guided him when he first found the children. "I had a choice," he said, his voice steady but quiet. "When I found them, I could have walked away. They were not my kind. They were not my responsibility. But they were alone, and I could not leave them." The guards muttered angrily. One shouted, "Lies. No human shows mercy to our kind." Another hissed, "This is a trick. He only wants to use them as a shield." Queen raised her hand, silencing the room. Her eyes never left the human. "You expect me to believe a human would carry my children through the wilds? Feed them. Protect them." The human met her gaze without flinching. "I expect nothing from you," he answered. "I did what was right. Whether you believe me or not, that is your choice." His words were plain, but they cut deep. The queen felt her chest tighten. For years, she had painted all humans with the same color of hatred. But now, standing before her was one who had risked his life for her daughters. If she killed him, she would not just kill an enemy. She would kill the one who saved her bloodline. The daughters stepped forward again, their voices soft but strong. "He never hurt us," the older girl said. "When beasts attacked, he fought them. When we were hungry, he shared his food. He even sang to us when we cried." The human felt heat rise in his face, embarrassed, but he stayed silent. He remembered those nights, the fire burning low, the children trembling in their sleep. He had hummed the old songs of earth to calm them, even though they didn't understand the words. To them, the sound had been enough. Now those memories were being spilled into the throne room for all to hear. The queen's claws tapped against the armrest of her throne. Her mind was a storm. To accept this human's words would be to break centuries of hatred. But to deny them would be to ignore her own daughters. Finally she stood, her tall form. Casting a shadow over the human, she stepped closer, her gaze sharp and unyielding. If what you say is true, then why are you here now? Why bring them back to me when you could have kept them as your prize? The human swallowed his throat. Dry, the truth was simple, and he spoke it without hesitation, because they are not mine. They belong with you. I brought them home. The throne room fell into silence again. Even the guards stopped their whispers. The queen stared at him, her golden eyes searching his face for deceit. But she saw only the calm resolve of a man who had already accepted death when he entered. There was no greed, no trick. Only a strange kind of honor. Her daughters clung to her hands, tears in their eyes. "Mother," the younger one said softly, "please, do not hurt him." The queen closed her eyes for a long moment. Inside, her heart twisted, torn between duty and gratitude. To spare him would be seen as weakness by her court. To kill him would mean betraying the gift of life he had returned to her. The human stood. Still waiting, he had made his choice long ago to save the children. No matter the cost, now his fate lay in the queen's hands, and as the silence stretched on, he wondered if his final act of mercy would end with mercy or death. The queen's dilemma. The queen stood tall, her daughters clinging to her arms, and the human waiting silently before her. Her golden eyes glowed. But not with anger alone. There was something deeper inside them, something she did not want to admit. For years, hatred had been her shield, her weapon, her purpose. But now, standing only steps away, was a man who had returned the two treasures. She thought lost forever. The throne room was heavy with tension. The guards shifted uneasily, waiting for their queen's judgment. Some stared at the human with rage, others with doubt, but none dared to move without her command. The daughters looked up at her, their voices small yet powerful. "Mother, he is not like the others. He saved us. Please, do not hurt him." The queen's claws twitched, her breath unsteady in her heart. She wanted to pull her daughters close and never let them go, but in her mind, she heard the voices of her people, the cries for revenge, the endless blood spilled by humans. The promises she had made to destroy them. Could she betray her own vows? Could she stand before her people and say that a human was worthy of mercy? She paced slowly, her long steps echoing across the chamber. Her crown shimmered under the dim lights, every crystal catching the tension in the air. Her daughters' eyes followed her, wide with fear that she might still give the order to kill. The human, however, did not move. He stood firm, accepting whatever choice she made. That calmness unsettled her more than anything. "Human," she said finally, her voice cold, though it trembled beneath the surface. "You ask me to believe you are different from the others. You ask me to trust the word of an enemy. But trust is not something freely given, it is something earned with blood." The guards growled in agreement, stomping their armored feet. One shouted, "Your Majesty, do not be deceived. He is a snake in our halls. His kind cannot be trusted." Another roared, "Order us, and we will strike him down where he stands." The queen raised her hand, silencing them. Her gaze remained fixed on the human. "Why should I not kill you now?" she asked, her words sharp as a blade. "Why should your life matter when countless of my people lie in graves because of yours?" The human drew a slow breath, his voice calm but strong. "You could kill me," he said, "and I will not resist. But if you do, remember this: your daughters will know that the man who carried them through fire and hunger died at your command." His words cut through the hall like thunder. The guards hissed, enraged at his defiance. But the daughters gasped, clinging to their mother's arms tighter. "Mother, no," they cried, their voices breaking. "Please don't let them hurt him." The queen's heart cracked, her claws clenched at her sides, her chest heavy with the weight of choice. If she spared him, her people might see weakness. If she killed him, her daughters might never forgive her. Her mind flashed with memories of war, the burning cities, the screams of her soldiers. The sight of human armies marching forward without mercy. Her hatred was not born of nothing yet, was carved into her by loss. But now, for the first time, she questioned if that hatred had blinded her. She looked again at the man standing so still before her. He did not beg, he did not plead, he did not even defend himself with anger. He stood as though his life had already been given away the moment he carried her daughters back. And that quiet strength made her chest ache in ways she had not felt for years. The younger daughter pulled gently at her mother's hand. "Mother, he sang to us when we cried. He is good. Please believe us." The older daughter added, her voice shaking, "If you kill him, then you kill the one who saved us. Please don't make us lose him, too." The queen closed her eyes. Their words pierced deeper than any blade. Her daughters, her blood, were asking her to trust a human. Her people, her kingdom, demanded she destroy him. She stood trapped between two worlds: duty and love, hatred and hope, vengeance and mercy. Her dilemma was not only about the human, it was about the future. If she chose mercy, she risked breaking the chain of war. If she chose vengeance, she would keep the chain unbroken forever. The chamber waited in silence. The guards bowed their heads, waiting for her order. The daughters held their breath, clinging to hope. The human stood calm, ready for death but not regretting his choice. And the queen, her heart torn, her soul trembling, knew that whatever she decided, nothing would ever be the same again. The guards' rebellion, the throne room was heavy with silence. The queen still had not spoken her final command. Her golden eyes lingered on the human. Torn between hate and gratitude, her daughters clung to her arms, whispering softly, begging her not to hurt him. But her hesitation was dangerous because her guards were no longer patient. Whispers grew louder among the soldiers. "They cannot forgive him." One snarled, his voice sharp. "He is a human." Another hissed, "His kind slaughtered our people. He cannot walk free." The air filled with low growls of anger, the sound of claws scratching against steel weapons. The queen raised her hand for silence, but this time, not every guard obeyed. One of the captains, taller than the rest, stepped forward, his armor gleaming under the throne's light. He dropped to one knee, but his voice shook with fury. "My queen, forgive me, but you cannot hesitate. This creature stands in your hall, alive only because your heart is clouded by emotion. If we do not strike now, your people will see weakness." The queen's eyes snapped to him, her voice sharp. "Do you question my judgment, Captain?" The captain bowed lower, though his words remained bold. "I question only what is best for the empire. This human must die." The daughters gasped, holding tighter to their mother. "Mother, no," they cried, their voices trembling. "Don't let them." The human stood still, his eyes moving slowly across the guards. He could see their rage, their hatred boiling past discipline. And he knew this was about to turn into bloodshed, not because of the queen, but because her soldiers no longer trusted her hesitation. The captain rose to his feet, his claw pointing straight at the human. "Kill him," he roared, his voice like thunder. A wave of guards surged forward, weapons raised, their eyes glowing with fury. The throne room erupted in chaos. The daughters screamed, running behind their mother. The queen stepped forward, shouting, "Stand down." But her voice was drowned by the clash of armored feet. The human's fists clenched, his body tense. He had no weapon, but he had his will. And he would not let himself die like prey. The first guard lunged at him, claws raised. The human dodged, his instincts sharp from battles long past. The second guard swung, but he blocked with his arm. Gritting his teeth as pain shot through him, he moved quickly, grabbing the guard's wrist and twisting hard, sending the alien crashing to the floor. The other guards roared in fury, circling him like wolves around a cornered beast. But the human did not attack to kill, only to survive. Every move he made was controlled. Desperate but not merciless, the Queen's voice rang out again, louder this time. "Stop. I command you to stop." But the captain ignored her, his eyes blazing. "You are blinded, my queen. He is a danger to us all. If you will not order his death, then we will." The queen's claws tightened, rage burning through her hesitation. She had been torn between choices, but now the rebellion of her guards tore the decision from her hands. Her crown glowed with light as her voice thundered. "You dare defy me? You would strike against my daughter's savior while I yet stand." For a moment, the guards froze at the power of her words, but the captain, drunk with fury, did not bow. "This is no savior, my queen," he spat. "This is a threat. And threats must be destroyed." The human stood his ground, his chest heaving. He had thrown down 3 guards already, but more pressed in, their glowing blades inches from his throat, their claws ready to tear him apart. The queen stepped forward, her daughters clutching her arms. She felt her blood boil at the rebellion, at their disobedience, at the danger to the man her daughters loved. For the first time in years, her rage was not aimed at a human, but at her own soldiers. Her voice dropped low, sharp as the edge of a blade. "Any hand raised against him is raised against me." The throne room shook with silence. The words were heavy, undeniable. The guards faltered, some lowering their weapons, fear crawling into their eyes. But the captain roared in defiance. "Then you have betrayed us, my queen. If you will not protect your people, then we must protect them ourselves." The guards cried out, torn between loyalty to the queen and loyalty to their captain. The daughters wept, clinging to their mother. The human stood in the middle, his body tense, waiting for the storm to break. And in that moment, the queen knew this was no longer just her dilemma. It was war within her own throne room, and the choice she made now would either save her crown or shatter it forever. The human's courage, the throne room, burned with chaos. Guards shouted, weapons raised, their loyalty split between their queen and their captain. The daughters cried out, their small hands clinging to their mother's robe. And in the center stood the human alone, surrounded, his life hanging by a thread. The captain snarled, his voice echoing like thunder. "This is your last chance, queen. Step aside and let us do what must be done. He dies here." The queen's golden eyes flared, her claws trembling with fury. "You dare speak to me this way? You dare command me in my own hall?" But her words did not stop him. His rage was too deep, his hatred too strong. The guards shifted. Unsure, some lowered their weapons at the queen's command. Others tightened their grip, ready to strike the human down. The throne room was a battlefield waiting for the first drop of blood. The human could feel every gaze on him. He knew he had no chance against so many. But still, he stepped forward. Not away from danger, but closer to it. His voice was calm, though his heart thundered in his chest. "If you want to kill me, then kill me," he said, his words steady. "But know this, I will not raise my hand against the queen's daughters. They are under my protection, even if it costs me my life." The words struck the room like lightning. The daughters gasped, staring up at him, their eyes wide with tears. The queen herself froze, her chest tightening at his courage. Even the guards faltered, their weapons lowering slightly, confused by His fearlessness, the captain laughed bitterly. Protection? From you. You think yourself noble, human, but your kind has never protected anything except their own greed. He raised his weapon, its glowing edge pointed straight at the human's chest. Let us end this lie once and for all. The guards surged. Forward again, the daughters screamed, but the human did not move back. Instead, he spread his arms wide, placing himself directly in front of the children. His voice rang out, strong and clear. If I fall standing. But you will not. Touch them while I breathe. The sight was shocking, one unarmed man standing against an army. Not for his own life, but for the lives of 2 alien children who were not even his own. The queen's heart trembled. She had seen warriors face death before, but none had ever stood like this, not without weapon, not without armor, not without hate. This man's courage was not built on bloodlust, but on something deeper, something she had almost forgotten existed. The captain snarled and lunged forward, his blade flashing. The human braced himself, ready for the strike. At the last moment, he twisted his body, knocking the captain's arm aside with raw strength. The blade missed his chest by inches, carving sparks into the stone floor. Gasps filled the hall. The daughters cried out his name. But still, the human stood tall, refusing to kneel, refusing to break. The guards roared and surged again. But once more, he blocked, deflected, endured. Every strike left bruises. Every blow weakened him. But he never swung to kill, never struck in vengeance. He fought only to shield the children behind him. His arms ached. His breath grew heavy. Blood slipped from a cut across his shoulder, yet his stance never faltered. Every time a guard came close, he forced them back with sheer will. Every time a blade nearly struck, he turned his body to take the wound himself rather than let it fall on the children. The queen's claws dug into the throne's armrest, her rage boiling higher. She could not deny what she was seeing. This human, her sworn enemy, was standing like a wall for her daughters. His courage shamed her own guards, who trembled even as they attacked. Finally, the captain, furious at his failure, raised his weapon high for the killing blow. The daughters screamed, "No!" The queen's breath caught, her body tensing to leap forward, but the human moved first. He pushed the children behind him, spreading his arms wide once more, his eyes locked on the captain. And his voice was steady, unshaken. "If you want their blood, you'll have to cut through me first." The throne room froze, even the captain blade raised. Hesitated for the briefest second, because in that moment, everyone saw it. The human was not a prisoner, not an enemy, not a coward begging for his life. He was a shield, a protector, a warrior who would give everything for children not his own. The queen's heart pounded. Her decision was no longer a question of mercy or vengeance. It was a question of truth, and the truth was standing before her, bloody but unbroken, a human who had shown more courage than any alien warrior in her hall. Her voice thundered at last, shattering the air. Enough. The walls shook with her cry. The guards froze. The captain's blade halted inches above the human's chest. The queen's golden eyes blazed with fury, not at the human, but at her own soldiers. No more. Lay down your weapons, or face my wrath. The guards hesitated, trembling. For the first time, they saw not only their queen's rage, but her choice. And that choice was clear. The human lived. The daughters ran forward, clinging to the human's legs, sobbing in relief. The human exhaled slowly, his body aching, his strength nearly gone, but he had not fallen. And in that moment, the queen understood. This was not an enemy standing in her hall. This was a man who had chosen courage where others chose hate, and that changed everything. The queen's decision, the throne room trembled with silence after. The queen's command, the guards stood frozen, their weapons half raised, their eyes flicking between their ruler and the human. The daughters clung to the man's legs, tears streaming down their faces. And the queen herself stood tall, her golden eyes blazing, her crown glowing faintly in the dim light. Her voice had stopped the rebellion, but the storm inside her heart still raged. For years she had sworn to destroy all humans, to repay death with death. But now, before her, stood the very proof that not all humans were the same. This man, bloody, bruised, unarmed, had risked everything for her children. Even her fiercest guards could not deny what they had seen. The captain, still kneeling with his blade lowered, snarled under his breath, "My queen, you cannot mean to spare him. Your people will see it as betrayal. They will call you weak." The queen's claws curled tightly, her voice sharp as fire. "My people will see what I choose for them to see. And what I see before me is no weak man, but a warrior stronger than all of you." Gasps filled the hall, the guards' faces twisting. In shock, the daughters pressed closer to their mother, their voices trembling with hope. "Mother, please. Let him live. He deserves it." The queen's heart ached, her daughter's words pulled her one way. Her people's hatred pulled her another. She knew that sparing the human would divide her court, perhaps even spark more rebellion, but she also knew that killing him would shatter the trust of her daughters forever. And for the first time in many years, she realized she feared losing them more than she feared her people's anger. Slowly, she walked forward, each step echoing across the stone floor. The guards bowed their heads as she passed, but their eyes stayed locked on her every move. The human stood still, his body heavy with exhaustion, but his gaze steady. He did not kneel. He did not beg. He simply stood and waited for her judgment, ready to accept death if it came. The queen stopped only a step away from him, her golden eyes burning into his. "You stand in my hall, surrounded by enemies," she said, her voice low. "You bled for children who are not yours. You faced death with no weapon in hand. Tell me, human, do you regret it?" The man's lips were cracked, his shoulder bleeding, but his answer was calm. "No. If I had to do it again, I would." The words struck her chest like an arrow. There was no hesitation, no lie, only truth. And in that truth, she saw something greater than war, something she had thought long dead. Honor. Her daughters ran to her side, their small hands grabbing her claws. "Mother, please," the younger one whispered. "Don't take him from us. He is our friend." "More than that," the older added, "he is family." The queen's eyes burned, not with rage, but with tears she could no longer hide. Her voice cracked as she spoke. "My daughters call you family. My heart tells me you speak true. And yet my people will call me traitor if I let you live." The human lowered his head slightly, his voice firm but soft. "Then do what you must. My life is not worth your crown. But remember, if you kill me, you will not just be killing a human. You will be killing the man your daughters trusted with their lives." The room froze. The queen's claws trembled, her golden eyes flickering between the human and her daughters. Her crown pulsed faintly, as if even the crystals were waiting for her choice. And then she made it. Her voice rang out, strong and unshakable. "This human is under my protection. Any hand raised against him will answer to me." The guards gasped, some stepping back in disbelief. The captain roared in protest, "You cannot. He is the enemy." But the queen turned on him, her eyes blazing with fury. "No, he is proof that our hatred blinds us. He is proof that courage and honor are not bound by species. And if you cannot accept that, Captain, then you are the true enemy of this throne." The captain fell silent, his defiance broken under her wrath. The other guards lowered their weapons at last, bowing in submission. the throne room. Once a place of blood and rage was now filled with something new, silence touched with awe. The queen turned back to the human, her voice softer now. You came here ready to die. Instead, you have given me something greater than vengeance. You have given me hope. The daughters ran to the human, wrapping their arms around him, their laughter and tears mixing together. The human placed a tired hand on their shoulders, relief washing through him. For the first time since he entered the hall, he allowed himself to breathe. The queen looked at them, her children safe. The human standing alive beside them, and whispered, almost to herself, this human saved more than my daughters. He saved me. And in that moment, the throne room that had been built on war and hate became the place where something new was born. A fragile peace, held together by the courage of one man and the choice of one queen.